With me now is Nabila Ramdani, a journalist specialising in Middle Eastern affairs. She's also met Saif Gaddafi, the son of the former Libyan dictator. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Let's just talk about Sanussi first of all. As one of our earlier guests described him, the gatekeeper to Gaddafi's secrets. His arrest is extremely significant, isn't it?
Very much so, and his statement is going to prove extremely critical, not least because Sanussi devoted himself to security and indeed intelligence within Libya. He's not well known outside Libya, but I can tell you that inside Libya he's very much, well known as the face of the regime, not least because he was Gaddafi's personal aide, a sinister henchman, but he was also family. He was in fact Gaddafi's brother-in-law, so he will be the kind of person who would know exactly what kind of atrocities took place, for the obvious reasons that he would have been involved in them.
Will he give up that information, though, do you think?
I think he would be under an awful lot of pressure by the National Transitional Council and indeed a court of law set up by the National Transitional Council to speak and to shed light on some of the atrocities that have been committed under the Gaddafi regime, not only domestically but also abroad.
And talk to us about Saif al-Gaddafi, Saif al-Islam, obviously someone who was extremely familiar with the West. He lived in the West for quite a while. What do you think is going to happen with his interrogation? Unlikely to yield as much information, perhaps, as the intelligence chief.
That's a very important point, because Saif's profile was very much that of a roving ambassador and indeed a fixer for Libya. He spent much of his time abroad, studying in countries like Austria or indeed Britain. And he always, when I met him in different places, in Paris and in London, he always enthused about living abroad. So I think when we consider Saif's statement during his trial, it's easy to forget that the influence he had on his father was not actually great. He was never part of his father's government, for example, and he pushed forward a reformist agenda which made him extremely unpopular with the hardliners within the regime, and he very much focused on his own work through his foundation, a charity, the Gaddafi Foundation, abroad.
So everyone will be watching to find out how the NTC actually handles the interrogation and subsequent treatment of Saif al-Islam and of Sanussi. Do you think Libya actually has the structures in place to deal with this effectively, or should it be seeking outside help?
I don't believe it does have the structures in place, and why should it after 42 years of tyranny? You wouldn't expect the country to have a justice system that's very much in line with the standards that we used to in the West, certainly. And that's why it's absolutely crucial that the NTC collaborates as much as possible with international institutions like the ICC to make sure that the rule of law is paramount during those trials.
Yes, this is a vital opportunity to set the tone and to distance itself from what has gone before.
It will be crucial for the NTC to prove that it is indeed committed to a due process and looks forward to a democratic country.
Nabila, good to see you. Thank you very much, Nabila Ramdani.
Thank you.